on AMC True Crime.
The call came in the early hours of July 3, 2024. A car, abandoned in a quiet cemetery in Harrison County, Mississippi. Inside, a discovery that would shock a family and expose a system riddled with fatal flaws. Wrapped in trash bags and sheets, the mutilated body of 22-year-old Lauren Johansen. As deputies approached, a man, later identified as Bryson Rivers, was seen fleeing into the woods. A desperate manhunt was launched. But the question remained, how did a violent ex-boyfriend, just released from jail on strict conditions, manage to reach Lauren in Mississippi and brutally end her life? To understand the tragic culmination of events, we must rewind to December 2023 and a vacation to Nashville, Tennessee. Lauren Johansen, a bright and compassionate nursing student, and Bryson Rivers, her then-boyfriend, were visiting Music City. What began as a seemingly ordinary trip to the Frist Art Museum and Topgolf quickly devolved into a nightmare. On December 11, 2023, after leaving a local bar, an argument between Lauren and Rivers escalated. According to an arrest affidavit, Rivers accused Lauren of infidelity, then subjected her to a horrific assault. He slapped and punched her, took her phone, and refused to stop the car despite her pleas. When he finally pulled over, the attack continued. Lauren, desperate, tried to reach a gun in her bag, but Rivers held her down, his forearm pressed against her throat until she saw black. A Metro Nashville police officer, James Harbin, approached the vehicle, witnessing Lauren's desperate struggle. What he saw was horrifying. Rivers on top of Lauren, both covered in blood. Lauren's face was severely beaten, one eye swollen shut. Rivers, uninjured, appeared intoxicated. Lauren was hospitalized for 2 days. Rivers was arrested and charged with 2 counts of especially aggravated kidnapping, aggravated stalking, and witness coercion. Just 1 week later, on December 18th, Rivers' bond was set at an initial $250,000. But Lauren's father, Robert Johansen, had a chilling premonition.
I sat in the courtroom in Nashville and told the judge that if they let him out, he was going to kill her. He had assaulted her. This was probably the 5th or 6th time where they would get into a fight, and he would beat her. We would get her away from him for a while, but he would find a way to weasel back in it.
Despite his plea, the legal battle was far from over. What would happen next would set in motion a chain of events no one could have anticipated. On March 13, 2024, Rivers requested a reduced bond. And on April 3, Judge Cheryl Blackburn approved it, lowering his bond to $150,000. This decision came with strict conditions. Rivers was to wear a GPS ankle monitor, reside in Davidson County, Tennessee, and have no contact with Lauren Johansen. He also had to be released to a bonding agent, and specifically, he was not to be released after 4 p.m. to ensure he could be fitted with the court-ordered GPS monitor by Tracking Solutions, a company that closed by then. A month later, on May 15th, Rivers and his mother even requested a change in bond conditions, asking for him to be allowed to live in Mississippi. The judge denied the request. The stage was set, the rules clear. Or so it seemed. On June 24, 2024, Bryson Rivers was released from the Maximum Correctional Center. But his release was anything but standard. He was let out at 4:05 p.m., 5 minutes after the court-ordered deadline. And instead of being released into the custody of a bonding agent, as mandated, he walked out on his own. This was the first in a series of critical errors. Davidson County Chief Deputy Criminal Court Clerk, Julius Sloss, later admitted, "Someone in our office made a mistake. When the release was sent to the sheriff, it did not contain the conditions that were outlined in the order. The sheriff's office confirmed they did not receive the full conditions at the time of his release." Brooke Harlan, owner of Brooks Bail Bonding, one of the companies involved, claimed her liaison was only shown the second page of the 2-page order, the one that detailed payment, not the one with the crucial conditions. The clerk's office, however, maintained it was the bonding company's responsibility to review the entire order. A clear communication breakdown. But the consequences were only just beginning to unfold. Despite being released on his own, Rivers contacted Brooks Bail Bonding. An agent picked him up, but without the full court order, they didn't know which monitoring company to take him to. So they drove him to Freedom Monitoring Services, a company created just 1 week earlier by an employee of Brooks Bail Bonding. At Freedom Monitoring Services, with no bond order available, Rivers told them he was allowed to leave Tennessee for Mississippi. And without the court's explicit instructions, the GPS tracking perimeter for Davidson County was never set. Rivers, the man who was supposed to be confined to Nashville, was now free to roam. It wasn't until June 28th, 4 days after his release, that Freedom Monitoring Services finally received the court order with Rivers' bond conditions. On the same day, Tracking Solutions, the court-ordered monitoring company Rivers never reported to, sent a violation report to the district attorney's office. The court was informed Rivers was in violation. And then, Robert Johansen received a voicemail.
This is Bailey calling from the district attorney's office in Nashville. Bryson Rivers was released from custody. He was supposed to report straight to a GPS company and be put on a GPS monitor, and he was not to leave Davidson County. But as soon as he was released, he did not report to that GPS monitoring company, and he has not been heard from. I wanted to make sure Lauren is safe.
Robert Johansen didn't hear the message immediately, but when he did, the news came as a devastating shock. He called Lauren, who was still alive at the time, and she confirmed she already knew. She was terrified. Freedom Monitoring contacted Rivers, ordering him back to Nashville due to an issue with his monitor. He returned on June 29th, was fitted with a new GPS device, and tracking resumed. But it was already too late. Rivers left town again. And on July 1st, the night before he was supposed to appear in court in Nashville, Lauren Johansen's father couldn't get in contact with her. He received a text message that didn't sound like it came from his daughter. What happened in those final hours? Early on July 2nd, Robert Johansen received a chilling notification. Lauren's Life 360 tracker had been turned off. Her sister, with whom Lauren lived, confirmed she wasn't home. The security camera at their front door had been destroyed. Lauren's family immediately reported her missing to the Hattiesburg Police Department. Meanwhile, Rivers' ankle monitor battery began to die. Freedom Monitoring Services attempted to contact him, but he was unreachable. They contacted his mother. She hadn't seen him. The last known location before the monitor died? Beach Boulevard in Biloxi, Mississippi. On July 2nd, the same day Lauren was killed, the court issued a warrant for Rivers' arrest, ordering him held without bail due to bond violations. But the warrant was a day too late. On July 3rd, Hattiesburg PD used OnStar to track Lauren Johansen's car. It was found at Wolf River Cemetery in Harrison County. A deputy arrived and witnessed a man, later identified as Bryson Rivers, running from the vehicle into the surrounding woods. Inside the trunk, Lauren Johansen's body was discovered, wrapped in trash bags and sheets, brutally beaten. A 6-hour manhunt ensued, finally ending with Rivers' capture. He was taken into custody, held on a new $1 million bond. Investigators believe that while Lauren's body was found in Harrison County, the murder itself took place in Forest County. The case was transferred, and on July 4th, Bryson Rivers pleaded not guilty to capital murder, stealing a motor vehicle, and tampering with evidence. Lauren Johansen's family is now seeking answers and accountability. They have filed a $150 million lawsuit against the Tennessee bond companies, Brooks Bonding and On-Time Bail Bonding, and other associated firms. The lawsuit alleges that these companies failed in their responsibility to prevent Rivers from violating his bond, allowing him to cross state lines and ultimately, allegedly kill Lauren.
Just to see my daughter, the most kind woman in the world, just mutilated and thrown away like a piece of trash was the most overwhelming thing I've ever seen in my life. Why in anybody's right mind would they let this person out? You basically let an animal out of a cage. It's like letting a tiger out of a cage on a piece of meat, and he's going to go right for it and start eating it.
The case of Lauren Johansen highlights critical questions about the effectiveness of the justice system, particularly in cases of domestic violence. The Debbie and Marie Domestic Violence Protection Act, a law designed to keep victims safe through GPS monitoring, was in effect. But in Lauren's case, a series of missteps, communication breakdowns, and alleged negligence allowed a dangerous man to slip through the cracks. Lauren Johansen was a bright light, a compassionate soul who dreamed of becoming a nurse practitioner and creating an animal rescue. Her father remembers her as a genius with a heart of gold, a girl who, at 2 years old, proudly reeled in her own fish. Her life, full of promise, was tragically cut short. The legal proceedings against Bryson Rivers continue, with Lauren's father, Robert Johansen, pushing for the death penalty. But for a family shattered by unimaginable loss, no outcome can truly reconcile the life that was stolen. What changes, if any, will come from this devastating failure? And how many more lives will be lost before the system truly learns from its mistakes? If you found this story compelling and want to stay informed about similar cases and the ongoing fight for justice, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our future investigations. And if you believe this story needs to be heard, share this video with your friends and family. Your support helps us continue to bring these important stories to light.